Welcome back to Media 7. Now, I could explain the issues our fresh panel is going to discuss, but it turns out there's no need, because last week's episode of Boston Legal did it all.
It isn't fair, Carl. I have my health, and my mind is as sharp as... We're just shoved aside as a nuisance. I can't even watch television shows, for God's sake, because the networks consider me irrelevant. It seems they don't program for anybody over 50. Is it any wonder I'm out knocking over convenience stores?
You actually may have something there. The networks, they're supposed to serve the public. Okay, Catherine, we'll take that case.
You can't sue the networks.
The baby boomers, now all over 50, earn $2 trillion in annual income. That's trillion.
Madison Avenue is after the discretionary spender.
Yes, and people over 50 account for half of that, too. Choose your statistic. Go ahead. I've got you. We got more money. We spend more money. We watch more television, go to more movies. We buy more CDs than young people do. And yet we're the focus of less than 10% of the advertising. All the networks want to do is skew younger. What they're doing intentionally excludes a class of society. That's bigotry. You know, we should be able to turn on our damn televisions and see something other than reality shows aimed at 4th graders, game shows aimed at those slightly smarter than 5th graders, and scripted shows with dim-witted, sex-crazed 20-somethings running around in suits or doctor scrubs. Old people, the ones with intelligence, don't want to watch that crap. We're fed up. You know, the networks might think we're dead, but we're not. We're very much alive with working brains. Give us something to watch, damn it.
With us and ready to relitigate are former Governor-General Dame Catherine Tizard, the head of programming at TV3, the network that screens Boston Legal, Kelly Martin, and award-winning OMD media strategist Andrew Reinholds. Welcome to you all. Now, Kath, were you cheering inside when you saw that clip? Did it speak to you?
Sort of. I want to know who these old people are. Who is this homogenous group of old people who all want to watch the same damn thing? I mean, are they talking about the woman who I went to school with, who when we were at a funeral of a 36-year-old and I said, what a tragedy, said, oh, but Kath, you've got to recognise we're all getting older now. I said, Beverly, we're 34. Or are we talking about my cousin who jumped off the Sky Tower to celebrate her 80th birthday? They're talking about me, who has Sky Television but no sports channel, or, you know, I want to watch opera and arts and, well, I won't tell you some of the things I do watch, but, you know,
well,
interesting,
you told
outrageous
me, yeah.
fortune and underbelly. And things
Yeah, well, you told me
it's
before
not a
you watch
homogenous group.
Underbelly.
I
Underbelly
watch
skews younger. We looked at the
Look,
numbers
I'm
on
sorry,
that.
I do watch...
you're a big TV3 viewer.
No, I'm not a big
happy.
TV3, but it so happens my son-in-law has a major part in it, so I have
that
to watch it
explains that.
anyway.
This is
so
Underbelly
that sort of
then,
spoils
yeah.
my story, doesn't it, a bit? Yes, but...
But Kelly, I think Kath makes quite an interesting point here. There's a limit to the use of demographics, isn't there? Because I'm 46. I shouldn't be watching C4. I watch C4 quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's a state of mind. It's not about how old you are. yeah. That's right. And that's what we program for. We program for a state of mind.
And it's about a variety of interests too.
Right.
You
Yes.
cannot say old people want to watch rubbish.
But you can't sell things to a state of mind. You basically, as a commercial TV programmer, you have to chase the audiences that advertisers want to reach. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. So we're looking for the biggest audience that we can get in the 18 to 49 demographic.
Oh, thank you very much.
I
What
know,
about
it's
me?
shocking. Well,
I'm an
that's
old
right.
person.
But what I would say about that is from a filthy commercial network. I make no bones about it. And 18 to 49, you know, we're completely commercially driven. So if there's an issue, it's from advertisers, not necessarily us. What I would say is, you know, I think probably TVNZ need to be held a little bit more accountable, because TV1 traditionally was that network for an older skewing audience, and to a certain extent they have abandoned that audience, I guess chasing after dollars.
No, we looked at the numbers. That audience is still watching TV1.
Yeah, I know they are, but they're just not happy with what they're seeing.
Where does this 18 to 49 come from? Was it written in the, you know, the The mission statement of TV3 when it started, that it would appeal to 18 to 49-year-olds. Where does this come from?
My understanding of that is that is the target you want to go for if you want to make money. So, Andrew, can you explain that a little?
The 18 to 49 demo.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's probably the lowest common denominator. I've just actually sat in 2 days of research presentations, which talked about 18 to 49-year-olds, and then we had looked at a number of different ways we could slice that 18 to 49 demo up. I think marketing to 50 plus, I mean, as the Boston Legal clip showed, is an absolute no-brainer because one, there's a lot of them, and two, they have a huge amount of influence and a huge amount of discretionary income. So I think it's a really interesting issue for the advertising industry to get their head around and focus on, because at the moment, unless we're marketing stair lifts or Viagra tablets or retirement villages, we're not really talking to that demographic at all.
Well, actually, tell you what, should we look at a clip of the kinds of things that are being marketed to older audiences, and also the way that older people are portrayed on TV?
Tidy is exactly how I want to leave things when I go for good, which is why I have Cigna Funeral Plan.
Being old is no fun. At least that's what the media reckons. The only things you have to look forward to are death.
Even the simplest funeral can cost over $5,000.
And continence. Being feeble-minded.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
Achieving arousal with the help of a prescription medicine. Having a roof over your head so you're not a drag on the family. Being old is no laughing matter, unless you have a nappy to save you from certain humiliation. Being old is only fun if you win lotto, but even then, it has its limits. But is old age as miserable as the media makes out? Don't they know all these patronising ads about getting it up just get up the noses of anyone over 50?
Sarah Daniel with that report. Andrew, why does this happen? I mean, that was all incontinence pads and death's waiting room.
Pretty damning, wasn't it, really?
Do over 50s not buy anything else?
Look, absolutely not. I mean, the research that I've seen would suggest that there's a lot of stereotypes about this group, this generation, and I think the last thing they want to be reminded of is the fact that they're old. It's very much about me time for them. They have, the kids have left the home. It's time for them to really enjoy life and living, and actually what they want are new brands that will speak to them and talk to them and understand these new hopes and aspirations and dreams that they've got. And I would suggest at the moment, from Exhibit A, which is just shown, the advertising and marketing side of the business is really failing them at the moment.
Because you talk,
Thanks, Kath.
Yes.
Hey, I'll get out of here alive tonight then.
Indeed.
Oh, in some respects.
Yes.
Did that speak to you, Kath? I mean,
It did. That is publicising issues which have been under the radar screen. You know, incontinence, where you're going to live, all of those things are important. But for heaven's sake, I was still scuba diving at 70. My former husband has just celebrated his 70th consecutive year of membership of the Remuera Golf Club, and he's still playing 3 days a week. He was elected to the District Health Board at 84. There are lots of us round who are still alive and kicking and want to do interesting things, and not incontinent either.
And I agree completely. And what I'd suggest as well is that's very lazy marketing advertising. I don't think that TV is the right medium to be talking to people about those sorts of issues. You can do it in a much more personal, one-on-one way without broadcasting it to everyone.
I mean, one way you could look at that, though, is that those ads are targeting the audience who are ageing and staying at home. You know, they're not out there doing stuff because they can't be, so they are at home. So the ads are targeting the right people.
I wonder if change is, Kelly, if change is going to come on your business whether you like it or not. Again, we did the numbers. Over 40s are 47% of the population. They do 58% of the TV viewing.
Yep.
And that's only going to get more so as that baby boomer cohort moves through.
Yep.
are you going to have to start making TV for the people who are actually watching it?
Absolutely, and I mean, I think in New Zealand we're not necessarily bad at making TV that appeals to people who are older or have got half a brain. One of the problems that we've got is, for us in particular, and more, both channels 1 and 2, we're taking all of our stuff through the pipeline down from the US and from the American networks. I mean, I go up every year to LA and I watch all of the new network shows that come out, and I just about want to cut my head off by the end of the week, because if I see another amazing, intelligent, brainy, experienced, really onto it scientist who knows about a million different things, who's 12, and tiny, it does your head in. By the end of a week, you think, are there no brains behind any of the TV in America? Which is why Boston Legal is such a surprise, and why they have got up on that soapbox. Because what they're talking about in that show is what you sit through hours and hours and hours of, and it's just rubbish.
Because and also in that show, the protagonists are people with grey hair and sore backs. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. All of the people who are key characters are older.
But Russell, doesn't this say something about the fact that almost entirely our television is commercially driven by sponsorship, by who's going to pay for those ads and all of those things? What's happened to the Charter? You wouldn't exist without the Charter, would you?
I think we would, but the Charter's going west. We will still be standing after the Charter goes, put it that way.
I only asked that because, as I said to you earlier, I hadn't found you before you invited me to come on this show, because I don't have that little box, but I'm going to buy one tomorrow.
Excellent.
Because when I went on to TV On Demand and watched your shows, I thought the shows, I'm sorry, not your shoes, your shows, I thought, that's the best television I've seen for ages. And
we'll use that within the promo.
Oh, please do. No, I'm not. But you know what you're saying about your demographic and pandering to that demographic seems to me that it's all coming from the advertisers' needs. And I would like to see us go back to where we have at least one channel, and I like yours, my dear, but talking about pandering, you know, that is not
what
driven
would you like
by
to see? Because I sense that the kind of television that you want to see is available to you. You just have to pay for Sky to get it.
Oh.
You can watch UK TV. You can watch the Living Channel.
I can watch those things. And, you know, that's another thing that comes up. What do we see on every news bulletin? Half of it is sport. Does half the population want to watch half an hour of sport every night?
I feel
All right,
so.
well, I'm in the other half.
Yeah, no, but also older viewers do tend to watch a lot of sport as well. I looked at numbers of what people who were over 50 were watching.
Because there's nothing else to watch at that time of night.
How much of a problem, Andrew?
Yes.
How much of a problem is it that the people in your industry are young people? I had an editor once describe media buyers to me as, quote, infants. He said they knew nothing because they're all 22 years old. Is that?
Well, look, it makes the parties worthwhile going to. That's for sure. But look, you are right. When it gets down to a media buyer, they do tend to be younger and with less experience. What I'd suggest is actually, I think we're missing the point on that though. The big decisions have been made much earlier in the process, and the big key strategic decisions about who are we targeting. Even before that, what is this product for? Who are we building it for? Are being made much further down up the front in the food chain. So, you know, I think shooting the messenger is missing the point a little bit. Very easy to play some ads and shows and that older people watch, but I'd suggest, I think, to really understand this demographic, it takes a lot more qual research to really understand what they're all about. And then try
is
to
anyone doing that? Because my impression is that it stops. The research stops at age 49.
Again, you know, just everything stops at 49. It is a demographic which evidence that I see, and you know, work for a big company and done it for a while now, is that it is, unfortunately, unless it's one of those products we saw earlier, it's a demographic which is embarrassingly neglected and not catered to. That's outrageous.
What's the killer campaign for an over 50 audience? Because those ads are often pretty blunt. They're not very witty. You know,
they're pathetic. limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
again, I think there are...
When's some clever young creative going to come up with a campaign that actually works for...
Well, yeah, I think there probably are some prejudices within the industry on what older people like, and it's probably go, well, that's the way they are, they're not going to change, they're not into new things, and they sit at home all day cutting out coupons, watching daytime TV.
Wouldn't you say that some young creative is never going to be able to come up with an ad that is appealing to older people without patronising the hell out of them? I just think that's a fact. So you need to keep some people working longer. Older people making ads for older people.
The way you're thinking there, Kelly.
Older people are as diverse. I come back to the point I made. They're as diverse, and their interests are as diverse as your demographic that you pander to.
Well, I would suggest even more so, because I've lived fuller lives, and whereas younger people are still discovering what they're all about. So I think that the opportunity to really understand this older demographic more is something that I'd like to think is going to change a little bit, and that marketers really should focus on, because again, the rewards are sitting there. It's a highly desirable
Now,
group of
we're going to pause now and have a look at something that I know resonated with Kath. We are nearing the end of the show, but there is time for a news mash, and you don't even need to know the meaning of viral media to have been part of this phenomenon. The Western world reached for its hanky this past week after Susan Boyle, a 47-year-old frump from Nowheresville, Scotland, debuted on a show called Britain's Got Talent.
And that's just one side of me.
Oh, they doubted her, and how they laughed. And then Susan Boyle did this.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
It's an inspirational triumph. Isn't this why we have TV in the first place? But before you go getting too carried away, here's the surprise smash from this week's edition of the same show. A young lad wobbles his way through the Klaxons Valerie. It's rubbish. Simon Cowell stops the music, the crowd holds its breath, and the two panellists who aren't Simon mug exaggerated expressions of dread.
What do you sing apart from that?
Who's Loving You by Michael Jackson.
Well, of course he does. He's a professional Michael Jackson impersonator. This time it's a winner. The crowd rises to its feet, the judges pull out their astonished but impressed expressions, and there's a bright new star in the media skies. So it's all rubbish then? Well, the pre-auditions, the emotional cues, the clever manipulative editing, they're all part of it. But even Simon Cowell is not such an evil genius that he could manufacture the kind of mass global swoon that has followed Susan Boyle's performance. He couldn't have coached her bluff, uncomplicated air, or invented her backstory.
Well, I've never been married. Never been kissed. Oh, shame.
And while Larry King saw hope in troubled times...
In this time of recession around the world, what Susan Boyle has single-handedly done is give us all something to smile about.
The tracking firm Visible Results declared her on her way to becoming the biggest internet viral phenomenon ever. She has racked up 100 million views. Yes, you've been manipulated. Yes, there'll be many more Cinderellas, but for better or worse, you are seeing the future of entertainment television. Now, Kath, you saw that before we showed it just then, didn't you?
I did.
You saw it on the internet, I take it.
I don't care whether it's manipulated or not, it just made me feel so good. And she's only young.
Yes. But you saw it on the internet, and you're not supposed to be using the internet. You're an old person. They don't use the internet, do they?
You don't know anything about it, you young thing. Yes. Everyone I know of my age, just about, is on the internet. And, you know, working it through. As I say, I only found you a couple of days ago, but there I am, off to buy another gadget to be able to get your program. Listen, being old is okay. It's just awful having to live in an old body, that's all.
I think Keith Sinclair said something of the kind. Just briefly, reactions from you two. What did you make of that? Because something unusual seemed to have happened there. 100 million views online.
Yeah. I mean, to me, when I first saw it, it made me laugh, because I thought what it's really saying is that if you're not very good looking, that's the only way you're going to be able to get on telly in England or America. And the fact that the phenomenon is, oh, here's this woman who's not very attractive, and God, she can sing. What a surprise. And the fact that we're saying there's going to be more Cinderellas and that this is the changing face of entertainment to come, well, I think that's bollocks.
You programmers are just too cynical.
No, I am
Andrew
deeply.
As a marketing campaign, absolute genius. But I think at the core of it is a true story, and I think that what gets us in the end. It's real.
Right, well, we'll go out on that. And that is all from us. Thank you to our panellists in the show, Dr Ranganui Walker, Ken Mayer and Willie Jackson, and Dame Catherine Tizard, Kelly Martin and Andrew Reinholds. And thank you for watching. We'll be back with Media 7 at the same time next week. Until then, goodbye.